Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and today we are discussing a true crime case that is actually pretty old, and it's actually very viral because people still talk about it to this day. There's also a Netflix docuseries on it that I highly recommend that you go watch. I will put the title of it in the description box below so that you guys can go check it out. But let's get right into this video. So, I think we've all seen the footage that goes with this case because it went viral in 2013. The one where a young lady is seen stepping into an elevator and pressing every button she possibly can to get the doors to shut. The doors never shut, and she actually is never seen again after she steps out of the elevator. Today's video is about Elisa Lam, disappearance and reappearance in the water tank of the Cecil Hotel. So the Cecil Hotel has had a reputation long before Elisa Lam showed up in 2013. It opened in 1927, and just days before her death, Elizabeth Short, also known as Black Dahlia, was rumored to have stayed there. It was also home to at least two known serial killers. Number one is Richard Ramirez, commonly known as the Night Stalker. If you guys would like, comment down below and say that you would like to see a video on the Night Stalker, because he is just probably one of the worst serial killers I've ever heard. And the other one is Jack Unterweger. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right. I'll put it on the screen. So yeah. So as you can tell, the Cecil Hotel actually had a bit of a reputation before Elisa Lam ever showed up. So, Elisa Lam was actually 21 years old, and she was from Canada. She'd been planning a trip to go down to America and tour the entire coast of California. And she actually hadn't stayed or booked a stay at the Cecil Hotel. She had opted to stay at the Stay on Main, which was a downtown budget hostel for the Los Angeles leg of her trip. So, if you didn't know, the Cecil had actually converted half of its floors to the Stay on Main at the time of Elisa's stay, in an attempt to market itself to travelers while being able to maintain its long-term residents on the separate floors. Basically, Stay on Main was its own side of the hotel, and the Cecil was on its own side of the hotel. And while both hotels had their different lobbies and entrances to them, they actually shared an elevator, which is one of the many reasons that the elevator footage of Elisa on her last day alive is so scary to people who view it online, because she could have been on a floor of the Cecil Hotel, or she could have been on a floor of the Stay on Main, so no one really knows. On February 1st of 2013, Elisa was actually reported missing when she failed to check out of her room. So from what we know from documents and even a docuseries on Netflix like I mentioned, Elisa had been sharing a room with roommates, but had actually been moved out of that hotel room with her roommates into a private one because she'd been disturbing her roommates. And Elisa had actually been escorted out of a television taping earlier that week because of disruptive behavior. So far we've gotten very disruptive behavior from Elisa prior to her death and her disappearance. And the hotel's manager at the time, which her name was Amy Price, even remembers that Elisa had an outburst in the hotel's lobby. I know no further on that. When it was discovered that all of her belongings, which actually included her ID, her identification, her medication, and her luggage, which is all something you would need if you were checking out of your hotel, or if you just needed to survive, were left behind in her hotel room. And that was enough to get search parties of police and dogs to comb the streets of downtown Los Angeles and the halls of the hotel. But nothing came up. And deciding to review the hotel security tape, they found the 4-minute-long elevator footage that they later posted to the internet. Police actually decided to release this footage on February 14th, 2013 because they had no leads in the investigation and it had already been 13 days since she had went missing. Which, once this video made its way onto the internet, it created a frenzy. I mean, I remember people, I was what, 10 in 2013. I remember people being like, oh my god, did you see this? Did you see that? I remember like, it being on the news. So I vividly remember that. 20 days after Elisa Lam was last seen on February 19th in 2013, a hotel staffer was actually sent up to the roof to check the water tanks. This actually came after several guests had complained about low water pressure and how they had been having murky water come out of either their sink faucets, the shower faucets, basically any water that they could turn on in their hotel room. It was murky. So, of course, this hotel staff goes up to one of the water tanks, where he checks both water tanks. He checks the first one, there's nothing in there. He goes and checks the second one, and that is where he finds the nude body of Elisa Lam in one of the 4 tanks that provided water to the hotel. And, ironic enough, in June of 2013, the case was actually closed. The cause of death was listed as accidental drowning due to, or accidental death due to drowning, and with bipolar disorder listed as a significant factor, because Elisa Lam had bipolar disorder. And according to the coroner, Elisa's autopsy revealed that she had not been taking the full dosage of her medication around the time of her death. But her behavior in the elevator and the mystery of how she got onto the locked roof and into the tank in the first place really grabbed a cult following. I mean, it's a theory that she was murdered and somebody took her clothes and everything and just threw her in there. But then you have the theory of how did that person get up on the roof if it's locked? How did they open the water tank and then shove Elisa Lam into the water tank? I mean, YouTubers and Redditors and internet sleuths were all suspicious about the circumstances and made them hunt for any clues possible. One of these clues was the uncanny similarities between Elisa Lam's death in 2013 and a 2005 movie called Dark Water. And another one was a government-administered tuberculosis test in the area at the time entitled Lam Elisa. Quite literally, that is what it is entitled. These kept conspiracy theorists alive and active for years following her death. So in 2021, a docuseries on Netflix came out entitled, I believe, The Cecil Hotel. I watched it. Ironic enough, it actually has video clips of Stephanie Harlow's video on it, and I really like Stephanie Harlow. The docuseries goes pretty much into depth about every avenue of what could have happened to Elisa, so I recommend you watch that. But in the docuseries, they take a look at Elisa's Tumblr. I don't know how to pronounce this. I will put it on the screen. And Elisa uses as a diary of sorts, basically. She would post what she was doing, where she was going, how she was feeling. She would repost Tumblr quotes. And going on her Tumblr, the only thing that would pop up for me was her little quote at the top of her Tumblr. And it actually states, "You're always haunted by the idea you're wasting your life." And that was basically her quote at the top. So, Elisa's death and disappearance came to a lot of theories, and a lot of them actually were paranormal theories. I did not write any of those paranormal theories down because some of them were absolutely, like, astonishing to me. But there are theories of that somebody killed her that was staying at the hotel. And actually one of those theories is that a vocalist of a German metal group killed Elisa. And let me tell you, this poor guy got absolutely dragged through the mud with this theory. And he had to debunk it. Like, he had to prove that he was actually in Mexico at the time of her death. But the theory came out when he posted something in a song. It had something that looked like he was mentioning Elisa. If you want to go check that one out, check it out, because even watching the docuseries, I was astonished by that one. The docuseries does, however, kind of debunk the whole paranormal theory to Elisa's death. And you actually hear first-hand testimonies of the coroner, the investigators, and staff from the Hotel Cecil, or Cecil Hotel, who had previously not spoken publicly on Elisa's death. And by the end of the 4 episodes, we still do not know how she ended up in the water tank. We still don't know if she was killed or if she did kill herself. And it's basically just a whole story of, we don't really know what happened to her, but it's a closed case because they listed it as accidental drowning due to bipolar disorder. And the case is a tragedy, don't get me wrong, about a young woman who was not taking the full medication she was supposed to be, traveling and in a country she was probably not familiar with, and in a hotel that had a history of being where people die, or where serial killers stay, or where a woman who was murdered and shortly after her stay there. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. But don't forget that you guys can recommend a case. Go to my banner, click on the Google form, and you can, of course, put in a case suggestion. You can put whatever you want. If you want me to do the Richard Ramirez, which is what I mentioned in this video, put Richard Ramirez, and I'll know exactly who you're talking about, because there's probably only one Richard Ramirez. I'm getting back into the groove of doing true crime again. It's been a minute. I've wanted to take some time to get my brain off of all the death and tragedy and nasty stuff that goes on in those cases. Hence why I came back with this one. This one's not entirely as bad as a couple I've done. So yeah, but I'll see you guys in the next video, and bye.